Morning traders, and this is your Dow Jones daily review. So we've hit the upside target, and hope if you did take a trade, you are out of it at the moment. And I think what we need to do now is wait for the next pullback for our next long. But there are a couple of things you need to pay attention to here. And the very first thing on the daily is we have this continuation diversions here. Okay, in other words, price made a high here, and it's made a lower high currently. Okay, obviously we need to wait for today's bar to finish before that plays out, but there is the potential that that is in play. Second thing is we do have a grouping here of the oscillators. Not in the perfect spot. Like I said yesterday, I prefer it below the 20, but it has a group nevertheless. Okay, so we have broken through a trend line as well, with quite a big green bar if you look at it. But I do expect us to pull back a little bit. Okay, so if we look at what we have here, before we get there, there is the potential here for a head and shoulders. Okay, shoulder, head, rally a bit for a right shoulder. Okay, but obviously that neckline is going to be all the way down here. Okay, and that's that's not going to happen in a day. Anyway, if we look at the 4 hour currently the trend is up. Okay, let's just delete that. 4 hour the trend is up. There is no diversions. If you look at these two highs here, 4 hour is not diversion, so we can maybe not panic about that just yet. But what we do want to see is a pullback. Okay, now ideally I'd love to see a pullback back to the trend line break, but that would break the bottom trend line. Okay, and there are a couple here. So there's this one where we are now, and then obviously there is that one. Okay, now what I'd like to see is a pullback sort of back to this area of 25727. Now at the moment the Chinese market is getting hammered. Obviously the negative Chinese data that came out this week and the trade wars are still influencing the market. But if you look at what's happening in the US at the moment, we managed to close the gap. We got that upside target. Yeah, technically, depending how you look at it, but we are below the 200, so some people would see it as we're still in a downward trend. I see it as a potential reversal, although this could be a simple 1, 2, 3 reversal, and then we continue on our merry way. Okay, we do have a bit of a grouping here on the 4 hour, heading to the top. It's not quite there yet. Obviously, I want to see all 4 of these elements of the stochastics well above the 80 line. Okay, let's just get down and we can start looking what we want to do. Okay, so you can see this trend line here is currently looking like it's breaking. Okay, now I always want to see at least 3 touches on a trend line before I'm convinced that it's a strong enough trend line. And at this stage we've only got 2 and possibly a third one brewing here. So I'm going to get rid of all that noise and we're going to pick up some levels that we want to pay attention to. So there is the first one. Okay, and this 200 SMA, which is the light blue, is the next level. You see we've gone through the 200 EMA at the moment, and the next level that I'd really be keen to see is pretty much one of these 2 here. Okay, so this is the first area, which is 25,787. Then we have 25,700, and then we have 25,670. Okay, now those are all pretty, we're almost at this one at the moment. So those are all the levels that I'd be looking at this morning. Just want to see, what are we down at the moment? A good 150 points from the previous high, which is, sorry, I just want to see, just get this measured move here. That will give us, okay, so that lines up with this bottom level here. That's what I would be looking for, but I'm not looking to get into this morning. Well, not now, but definitely once Europe opens, let Europe settle down for the first half hour or so, and then look at what's going on. Okay, so these are the two areas that we're worried about. Okay, so the first one is 25,787, and the second one is 25,723. Okay, so that would be a reasonable trade for me, but we may just find some buyers coming in here. And last thing I want to do here is just have a look at what we're looking at, 260 points, because this is your stop level here. Your stop level is below these two swing lows. Okay, now I just want to highlight one last thing, and that is on these stochastics. So I will go through this in more detail tomorrow on a more detailed video, but if you look at these two stochastics, so I've got a fast and slow moving stochastic. They crossed over far apart. So you can see one's right at the bottom, one's close to the top. That is a bullish signal. You can see here it happened as well. So you've got two signals when they do it like this, okay, or alternatively when they group to the upside or the downside. Okay, when they're in the middle like this, it's actually, it does give you an indication that you're getting a change in direction, but it's not aggressive. Okay, so this here, you can see was your first warning yesterday morning that something was about to happen. Then you had a crossover, then you had another crossover, which is pretty much in this area here. And that was your signal that something was about to happen, and look at what did happen. Okay. Now, because you have the daily sitting like it is, you've got just got a grouping on the daily. You've got three strong bars up, and if you look at the 4 hour, trend is also still up. Okay. So if I come to the half hour, I want to be trading with the current 4 hour trend, which is up, and I'm looking for an entry, and an entry will be when I get a crossover of these two when they're far apart, or they all group to the downside with this oscillator also in the same area. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for in the half hour at the moment. And if we go to the 15 or the 12 minute, you'll see you've got a grouping here starting to form. Okay, so in other words, I'm expecting one of these levels to happen. So 25,787, or alternatively 25,720. Okay, so those are the areas that I'm looking at the buyers coming in. The last thing I want to do is just get across the ichimoku just to see what we have here. So 12 minutes, we've got a bearish crossover and a breakthrough. So we need to look for a level, and let's put that level in. That's my first level I'm looking at. Half hour, we've also got a bearish crossover here, but Kijinsen is not pointing down, it's pointing up. So we've got diversions with Kijinsen and price. So that's never a good bearish signal. And the 4 hour, we've got price coming back, but have a look at the next level here. There it is there. Okay. And doesn't really line up with anything else, but it's pretty close to that swing high. Okay, so 4 hour trend is up. You can see we're grouping to the downside again, indicating that buyers more than likely be stepping in shortly. So 1 hour, not the 4 hour. And the 4 hour, you can see we've had a crossover. We have broken through price here, although we've come back into price a little bit. We haven't had a twist in the cloud, and we're bumping our head on the cloud. So 4 hour, yeah, the bigger trend is still to the downside, but I'm expecting us to come back down and then rally because of this crossover. Okay, so I'm expecting us to go back, and you can see where your target levels are at the moment. Okay, I'd actually say it would be the swing low. Right. And lastly, daily, we do have a crossover here. We're in the cloud. So this is all bearish at the moment. But yeah, I mean, this can be this. The ichimoku can be pretty slow sometimes as well. But that can happen, okay? So just bear that in mind. This could just be a wedge that's forming, and then we get another massive move down to the next level, which is basically probably a retest of this or a break below. Okay. But anyway, for now, I'm just looking to go with the smaller trend. And that smaller trend off the hour is long. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Even the 4 hour is the moving averages. We do have a change in direction, but we do have a little bit of a warning here that a pullback is coming or consolidation. Okay. I think the last thing we just need to point out here is make sure your diagonals are in. There's the first one. Okay, you could pretty much argue that that's a triangle break. Very possible. Or we're going to be looking at a channel forming up until such time that the Europeans and some of the Americans start waking up, and then the buyers will step in. Okay, so I'm still looking for longs. Looking for longs off 25,780 or 25,727. This 25,727 is the one which interests me the most because that is this cup and handle. Okay, and also the other thing to bear in mind here is you do have a shoulder, head, and we could be forming another shoulder here for an inverse head and shoulders, also possible. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's my view at the moment. Definitely looking to carry on going with the trend, and the trend right now has reversed and is going up. Okay, so hope that helps, and I'll catch you guys later. Cheers for now.